I have a fuel leak on the truck, and it is a fuel line that I don't think I ever changed. I think I would remember if I changed this one. There's a fuel line, not the one that's leaking right now, but it goes from down here on my fuel filters. My fuel pump is over here on the air compressor, like a lot of trucks have that, and it goes from one fuel filter on this truck to another fuel filter that's got a finer micron rating on it, and then it comes out of that one and it goes up to the back of the head, and then goes through the fuel gallery on the head, and then comes back out and goes through an orifice that maintains a certain amount of pressure up there on the head, on the fuel gallery, and then goes through that orifice and then comes back down, makes its way back to the fuel tanks. Well, it's very difficult to get to that fuel line on the back of the head on this truck because I don't have any space between the motor and the firewall. It's very, very hard, and what I got to do is get to that fuel line, which I have done before. Actually, I had to do it when I put the head back on the motor after overhauling the motor a few years ago. I had to put those fuel lines back on up there where I am working up there. I took the air filter off. It mounts right up here. It's laying here on the floor in the shop. But to get started today, just to buy myself a little bit more room without going through a lot of hassle jacking up the truck, I just put some 2x4 scraps in front of all the wheels and drove it up on them. This one didn't get a 2x4, it got a piece of a broken concrete block. And the next thing I'm going to do is maybe to even buy myself a little bit more room is to undo the airbag here. The leveling valve, mine has a paper clip in it instead of a cotter pin. But anyway, I'll raise it back up a little bit more with that. And as you can see that I've done some cleaning. I was at the truck wash, not the regular truck wash, but a self-serve car wash that has an outside bay. Cleaned a lot of stuff off under the truck because I knew I was going to be doing this job. So I can raise this thing up, and then I'll just bring some jacks out here, jack stands, and put underneath the frame. We'll just add some air to it and extend the bags out a little bit more. Not too seriously high, but just raise them up a little bit. It's about as high as they're going to go. Okay, now I'm going to bring some stands out here and put under that. That'll get me a little bit higher because I'll be climbing in and out a lot. That fuel line is up on top of the transmission, the other end of it, where I don't know how I'm going to get to it. So what I've decided to do is clear all this junk out of the floor here, and the shifter thing, every time I have to take the transmission down, which in the last 20 years I've owned this truck, I've changed the clutch 3 times. The last time I didn't really have to change the clutch. It was the rear main seal. But since I had to take the clutch down, transmission down, I went on and put a new clutch in it then. And every time I can kick myself for not opening up a larger area on the floor where the shifter comes through, because it's just one small hole and you're working through the shift tower on the transmission through that small hole and always getting scraped up, dropping tools, can't see what I'm doing. It's a nightmare to get to the nuts and bolts and the wires in there. So what I need to do is cut out a section of flooring and then and make a mount for it to go back in and put some screws in to hold it back down. That'll buy me a lot of room, and I'm thinking that that's where my best bet's going to be to get to that transmission line, that fuel line that's on top of the transmission. Like I said, one end of it's on the back of the head up here, the other end of it is on top of the transmission. Underneath the truck, the transmission, right here, there's my inspection hole for the clutch and where you grease the throwout bearing at. Well, my fuel line is leaking up above the transmission. There's a shiny spot right there. See if I can't get the camera to focus on that. That's it up there. And as you can see, my hand is barely going to fit in there, just one hand. And of course I won't be able to see what I'm doing with a hand up there. But what I might do is move these heater hoses that go to the bunk heater. I can unbolt this clamp, and it looks like I got room to push those heater hoses back here to my left towards the back of the transmission a little bit. And hopefully I don't have to unbolt that one up there too. If I do, then we'll just do that. But they're full of oil right here, so that's a nuisance. But I gotta start somewhere. And if worse come to worse, I'll cut out the floor pan where the shifter goes in, make an access point there where I can get both hands in and see what I'm doing. But let's see what happens. Let's see if I can get some tools on this. I got that bracket off of there, and took a while. Locking nut on it, had a lock nut on it, had to fight with that all the way off. I gotta go up here and clean a bunch of this gunk off of here, and I can't stand working on stuff that's nasty and greasy like that, because then I get grease on everything once it's on my hands. So I got to clean some of this off and go to the next step. I got the hoses probably far enough out of the way. If I need to, I can tie something to them and pull them over some more. Got my hoses out of the way. Got this one tied back with a bungee strap over to something on that side, and the other one is the same thing, but it's tied up this way. So now I got this hole I can work through here. My hand will fit in that hole. I don't know about getting two hands in there. That fuel line is inside of another bracket up there, and I don't have access to that bracket. I'm taking a transmission bolt. I'm not messing with it. If I get that fuel line loose and off of there, then we'll just zip tie the new fuel line onto that bundle of wires and fuel line, and we'll just leave the old one hanging up there. So let's see if we can crack this thing loose. Okay, I took some paper towels and wiped the moisture off of that front fuel line that comes off the motor that I'm thinking is the one we got to change. That thing, I think it's a check valve. The reason I don't know 100% what it is, I never had to mess with it before. I was a car mechanic a long time ago, back in the 80s. I only work on my own truck. Once in a while I'll do something on someone else's if I know what to do. Anyway, I'm going to start it up, the motor, and see if we get some moisture coming off of that. Okay, I got that line to break loose. I don't know if I can show what I did. I'm going to try. I used open-end wrenches, and I got a 11/16 on this piece right here. I didn't put a bigger wrench on the back of that. There's a place to put a bigger wrench, but I saw this little fitting in here, and I figured that's probably going to come out of there if I do that. So an 11/16 did fit, just barely did fit in here, and if it didn't, I would have ground the sides of it down until it did. And then a 3/4 open end on that piece there. And it was a fight. It was a fight. I did get it broke loose though. So, and it took some strength. And I don't know how much strength I have left in my mid-60s, but I'm not a big man. But I got it loose. Now I got to go up on top and get it loose up there. And they want $300 and something for that hose at the dealer, which I'm not going to pay, but I have to bring it in somewhere and have it made up, have it copied. So I got to have it off. Up here on top of the motor in the back, of course, I got the air cleaner off of there, and trying to look down through this vent up here, can't really see there. I don't know if I can fit in here with the flashlight and the camera. I'm going to try. Okay, here's where that fuel line is. Let's see if I can get this on there. It's right there where the center of the light is. That's the one I got to change, the one that's facing towards the passenger side of the truck. There's two lines up there. The other one's facing towards the driver's side. It goes down to the fuel filter. Normally on any kind of a hose or line like that, you try to use a flare wrench, or a line wrench as sometimes they call them, 3/4. But I'm going to see what I can do with an open end wrench, regular wrench, because I just don't have room to work at all in there. Okay, I got the wrench on there, and the only place I could put it on, I had to put my hand under the firewall and over the transmission. That's the wrench sitting on the fuel line right now. And of course I can't videotape trying to break it loose, but that's where I'm at right at the moment. I got it on there and I broke it loose. I got it on at this angle, and that's a long reach Harbor Freight 3/4 inch wrench. Just barely did managed to get it on there, and I broke it loose. So we're on the way. See there? It comes loose. Okay. I went back underneath and I took the line loose from down there above the transmission, and now it's dripping down there. But I'm going to go up here and take this end the rest of the way off. Got it off. That's the culprit right there. Not that much of a hose, but only about 18 inches long, 20 maybe tops. Alright, you gotta go match that up somewhere. I think Freightliner was mistaken when they gave me a over $300 price. I think they were looking at a different part. Okay, we'll get back on this when it's done. I got my hoses. I went to Freightliner with this one that I took off This is Monday. I took this off yesterday. Tomorrow it's going to rain and rain the rest of the week, so I can't really stay home another day. I got to finish this today and go back to work. The Freightliner first told me $300 and something. I'm not sure what they were looking at, but when I brought this up and they looked it up with this in hand, and it was $180. So that wasn't going to happen. You guys that watch me regular, you know I got a couple Bobcat machines and some more hydraulic equipment, so I went to Bobcat, and they don't have the fittings. And they could have used a hydraulic line if they had the right fittings, but they didn't have them. So I went to another place about 20 miles away, and it's called Superior Industrial Supply. Anyway, they made this one up for me. And what'd they charge me? About 40 bucks. So I'll show you this picture here of this bill, and you can freeze the video and look at that, or do a screenshot of it with your computer or your phone or whatever. Anyway, they sold me some extra pieces of hose that were leftovers from the ends of rolls, and gave me a little bit of a break on the price of those, and some push-on fittings. They say you just push these on. They got real strong barbs on them. You just push these fittings on. They're the same thread fitting that we're dealing with here, and they're real hard to push on. He's telling me you got to lube that up, and you got to really push to get those home. Anyway, I've got more fuel lines on the truck that go after that and make their way over to the tank. Because in the first part of the video you saw this stops at a check valve, and well, behind the check valve it starts up again, and then it goes to another splitter that wires off to both tanks. So I got more fuel line to do, and I don't know how long these pieces are, but I obviously can't go to Freightliner for any help. I'll be going back to Superior Industrial. So if you guys want to have them send you something, if you know what it is, they might do that. I don't know. I don't see why not. But that's the name of the stuff there. Do a screenshot of that bill there. Well, it's awkward to get a camera up there where I was working at, but I use these long open-end wrench, 3/4 from Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh. You see that on there. And I use a regular size one from Home Depot. I guess I got it. It says Husky. That's what they carry at Home Depot, at least for now. When I'm making this video, they change brands. But this long one got me through that. Down here under the truck, I still have a 3/4 wrench on. No, that's a 11/16 that was in the middle between the check valve and the fitting that goes on the hose. So now all I gotta do is get the hose back over here, get the thread started on there, and then tighten that down with a 3/4. And then got to get these hose clamp brackets. I got for the heater hose lines. Got to clean that up and get that back up here on the frame, and then get my hoses are tied back with bungee straps right now. I'll get those back in that hose clamp bracket where it belongs, and then I am done. Thanks for watching.